Hey guys, this is lesson 3.1. We're starting chapter 3, which is all about decimals. And this is a no calculator chapter, so if you have your calculator, put it away. Now, we're going to go through a couple examples and do some practice problems, so get ready. So I'm just going to show you example 1 here. And I know they have it done for you, but I want to actually do it so you see what's going on. Now, the key rule when you are adding and subtracting decimals is that you line up your decimal points. So when I find the sum, remember sum means addition, of 23 1/10 and 5 8/10, I need to make sure that is 23.1 plus 5.8, and when I get my answer, my decimal should be lined up straight down here. So that is key to getting this right. Once you have everything lined up, you just add or subtract like it was a regular problem. So 8 plus 1 is 9. 5 plus 3 is 8, and 2 plus nothing, so you have 28 9/10. All right, now we're going to skip example 2, but we're going to go down and try one here. So let's start you off with one that's not too difficult. Let's start you off with problem A. So I want you to do it. Yes, you need to show your work vertically like this, so don't try doing it when it's horizontal, because you won't get credit on this. So do problem A, and so pause the video as you do it. When you're done, restart it. See if you were right. Go ahead. All right, let's see how you did, guys. 54 7/10 plus 21 4/10. Now your decimal should be straight down. And then you just add 7 and 4 is 11, right? The 1, carry the 1. Then we have our 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then 5 plus 2 is 7. So you should have 76 1/10 as your answer for A. If you didn't, just see where you made your mistake. Now when we go on, rather than doing B and C, I'm going to try something different. Because I think both of these are easy. They almost have the decimals lined up for you. So I'm going to replace B with a problem I think is a little more challenging here. And remember the rule, you must keep your decimal lined up. So I'm going to replace it with this problem. 7 3/10 plus 22 1400. Now what I want you to do is pause the video and make sure you keep your decimals lined up in your problem and in your answer as you do it. All right, so pause it, try it on your own, and then restart it to see if you were right. Okay, go ahead. All right, let's see how you did. So first off, when I keep my decimals lined up, I'm going to go back and erase them so you can see me doing it from the beginning here. So I have 7 3/10. Now when I write 22 1400, watch how I line up the 22. I have to put the 22 there so my decimals line up, and the 1 from the 1400ths goes here, and the 4 goes here. Now what I do is I call this filling empty spots in with zeros. It helps it look a little more evened out. So I'm going to fill in a 0 here, and I'm going to fill in a 0 here. So before I go over it, you have to check to see that your digits are lined up. These need to be lined up. 3 and the 1, the decimals, the 7, 2, and that 0 and 2. All right, if they're not lined up, you're going to have the wrong answer, just saying. So when I add them up, 4 and 0 is 4. 3 and 1 is 4. Decimal, 7 and 2 is 9. 0 and 2 is 2. If you didn't have 29 4400ths, I want you to take a second to fix it and learn from your mistake, because when we go and do problem C, I'm going to change that one up too. All right, so now let's go on to problem C. Now this one's going to be the most challenging of them of all. What if I just have a whole number? Let's say I have 17 plus, I'll keep the other one, 33.5. Now, I'll tell you, if you know what to do, because you know you have to line up your decimals, then you can go ahead and do it. But the hint to you is that 17 has a hidden decimal. Think of 17 written like $17, and it could help you out. So I want you to try this one, pause the video and try it, and then replay the video, see if you're right. Now what you could do is write your problem down, and if you're not sure if it's lined up, start the video to check that part, and then pause it again and finish it up. So either way, get started, go. All right, let's see how you did. So watch what I'm going to do with the 17. So 17, to make it have a decimal, I'm just going to write 17.0. Now, I only put 10 because 33.5 only has one decimal digit. So I didn't need to put 0.00. I could, but it's just extra work. So now notice my decimals are lined up. And when I add, I get 5, 10, carry the 1, and 5. 50 and 5/10. Now again, if you had it wrong, that's okay, because you're still learning. Just fix it, because if you fix it, you'll get better at it. Now we're on to the next page, and we're going to check out a subtraction one. So I want to go down to example 4. So example 3 and example 5, not a big deal. But example 4 is going to be key. So this one says find 6 minus 4 and 7/8. Now I'm going to tell you immediately what people do that tends to mess this one up. So what I'm about to show you, you do not do. So what they do is they're uncomfortable with that 6 being first, and they write the 4.78 first, and then they just do minus 6, which is totally wrong. Because 1, it's 6.0, so your decimals are definitely not lined up. And 2, in subtraction, the first number is the one you must start with. And you can't start with the 4.78. The order matters in subtraction. So that's the big mistake people are going to make in this one. So as I write this one, I need to line up my decimals, and I just need to make sure I start with the 6. Now, since 4.78 goes out to the hundredths place, 2 decimal digits, I'm going to write 6, kind of like $6, going to add 2 zeros out to the hundredths place. And then I'm going to do minus 4.78. Okay. By the way, the book calls this annexing zeros. It's a fancy way of saying you added some zeros. Now I'm going to do some subtraction. Since I can't do 0 minus 8, I'm going to have to do some borrowing. But notice I can't borrow from this 0 because there's nothing there. So I'm going to borrow from this 6. Let me get my pen ready. And you take 1 away from 6, which leaves you with 5. And I'm going to put that 1 right there. But I still have to borrow from, now it's a 10, right? See the 1 and the 0? I still have to borrow from this 10, which makes it a 9, and put that 1 right here. Now I have 10 minus 8, which is 2, 7 minus 9, or I'm sorry, 9 minus 7, which is 2. Bring your decimal down, and 5 minus 4, which is 1. So I have 1 and 22 hundredths. So the main thing in subtraction is, as you keep your decimals lined up, remember the first number right here must be on top in your subtraction problem. Otherwise, you're going to get it wrong. All right, let's go down and try some down below. Okay, so let me just get rid of that box wherever it goes. Get out of there. All right, so let me see what ones I want you to try. Let's start with just problem D. All right, so remember, you must put the first number on top. I'm just saying that. So pause the video, do problem D, and restart it when you're done. Go. All right, let's see what you got. So I'm going to start with 9.543. So that's 9 and 543 thousandths minus 3 and 671 thousandths. Okay, now just going to subtract. Remember, keep your decimals lined up. So 3 minus 1 is 2. I cannot do 4 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow. But 14 minus 7 is 7. I cannot do 4 minus 6, so I need to borrow again. Now I do 14 minus 6, which is 8. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. So if you didn't get that, remember, to learn, you have to go back and look. Did you mess up the subtraction? Did you mess up the regrouping? Think about where you messed up so that the next one you do, you don't make that same mistake. Okay, now we're going to skip E, because the only difference there is you have a dollar sign. But I want to go to F, because F is like that example above that we went over. So I want you to try F. If you're not sure, look you could always look back at the example above. But pause the video. When you're done, restart it. Remember, first number on top. Go. All right, guys, let's see how you did. So I see 9 and 9 hundredths has 2 decimal digits. So I'm going to write 14.9 0.00. I want that to have 2 decimal digits. That has to be first. Minus 9 and 9/100ths. So notice my decimal points are lined up. Okay, so now I'm going to start doing some subtraction. So I can't do 0 minus 9, and I can't borrow from this 0, so I have to borrow from the 4, which makes it a 3. And that 1 I just borrowed I put right here, which makes that a 10. But now I have to borrow from that 10 to make it a 9. And that 1 I just borrowed goes here to make this a 10. So now I can do my subtraction. So 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 9 I can't do, so I'm going to borrow. Make it 13 minus 9, which is 4. And then now I have a 0 here, so my answer is 4 and 91/100ths. All right, so that's it for the examples. We'll just show one, I think, at a real-world example on the next page, and we'll show you here. So this is saying Reagan is creating a video. The first clip was 22 and 36/100ths minutes long. The second clip was 17 and 3/100ths minutes long. What is the total length of the video? So we hope you know total means all of it. So we'd have to add those two amounts together. And as you could see, they just did that here. I'm not going to go through the addition. And got 39.39 minutes long. Okay, no big deal. Now, you're going to do problem G. The thing is, it could be addition, it can be a subtraction. So that's the key. So I want you to read G, think about, are they asking me to combine, add things, or are they asking me to subtract? Get started. When you're done with G, restart the video and see if you were right. Go. Okay, let's see what you did. So, in G, I'm going to read it and I'm going to circle some things as I read it to help me understand the problem. Ready? It says, Jonathan is traveling for work. This morning, his GPS indicated that the total distance to his destination is 589.4 miles. So I'm going to circle that. So that's the total distance to wherever he's going. Before lunch, he drove 208.62 miles. So that's before lunch. How much farther does Jonathan need to travel? So here's what I see. I'm going to draw a bar diagram to help me understand this. The total distance Jonathan needs to travel is 589.4 miles. Now, before lunch, he drove 208.62 miles. And the question says, how much farther does he need to travel? So that's going to be basically after lunch. So here's what I know. I know that 208.62 plus whatever this is has to add up to the total. But to get that, I have to find, this is the difference between the total and where he went already. I have to subtract. So I'm wondering if he did a subtraction problem. So I'm going to start by taking the total distance, 589.4, and I have to subtract how far he went already, which was 208.62. Now watch how I line up the 0.62. The 6 is under the 4, and the 2 is kind of sticking out there by itself. And now I'm going to add my 0. Always fill in that empty spots with 0. So here's what I want you to check. If you didn't do this subtraction problem, or if you didn't line it up, I want you to change it now and then pause the video again and redo the subtraction, because you know you're going to be wrong if you didn't. Now, if you have this problem, keep watching the video. All right, so decide if you need to fix it, restart the video when you're done. Otherwise, I'm about to continue. Okay, so I can't do 0 minus 2, so I need to borrow from the 4, make it a 3. And that 1 I just borrowed goes there to make this a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. I can't do 3 minus 6, so I'm going to do some more borrowing. Borrow from the 9, make it an 8. That 1 I borrowed goes right here to make that a 13. So I have 13 minus 6 is 7. Bring down my decimal point. Notice they're in a straight line. Now I have my 8 minus my 8 is 0. 8 minus my 0 is 8. And 5 minus my 2 is 3. So remember, the question was a word problem, so we need a label. How much farther does Jonathan need to travel? He needs to travel 380.78 miles farther. So that is your answer. All right, so that's it for the video. I'm sure if you're absent, you're working on probably 1 through 4 down below. So check your absent sheet.